Hi, Pastor. Welcome to another 6-Minute Summit. I'm really glad you could join us again today. As I thought about our time together, I was reminded of two significant words, I think, for the day, for this week. Those are two things that sometimes we think are the same, but in reality, they're quite different. Affirmation is acknowledging someone for who they are, and recognition is acknowledging someone for what they do. Traditionally, in our fellowship, we have done very well, in fact, gone in many cases overboard at recognizing what people do to the point that it may have created an unhealthy competition among us, when in reality we're not competing to see who can do more, who can accomplish more. We are partners together with Christ, laborers together with Christ to accomplish the will of God in the world in which we live. But what happens is when we go too far in one area of recognition, we have a tendency to eliminate it completely rather than find the balance. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But the other area is affirmation. Affirmation. To speak words of enrichment or acknowledgement, not for what people do, but for who they are. You see, if all we ever do is recognize people for what they do, when the ability to do what they do is gone, then those people have a tendency to feel like they have no value. So the value of a man or the value of a woman is not in what they do, but the value is in who they are. And I think we have to have both, the recognition and the affirmation, in order to have a healthy balance. So I would encourage you to recognize people for what they do, but do not forget to affirm people for who they are. There are people in your congregations that are marvelous people, that have a wonderful heart, that are tremendously passionate about ministry and making a difference in the world, all because of their heart. They may not have great abilities. They may not be able to accomplish what we think is a great success, but I'm telling you, what they do is significant because of their heart. And we as pastors need to recognize that fact. And on that, I want to say to you today, if you are a bivocational pastor, I recognize you have a tremendous challenge as you work a job, sometimes 40, 45, 50 hours a week, outside of the ministry that God has called you to work in. And in the last few months, as we have been working on our new ministry center, the Pastor's Training Center, and I'm working all day till 5:30 in the afternoon in the hot sun, and I come home and I have to come into the office and make telephone calls to connect with people, visit a hospital, then on the weekends minister on Sunday morning at some church here in Kentucky. Wow, it has caused me once again to remember the pastor that works so hard during the day and comes in and is worn out and is tired. I recognize the sacrifices that you are making. I recognize the tiredness of your bodies, the mental stress and strain that work outside of your ministry that you sometimes have to do in order to have money to live, to feed your family. Wow, I tip my hat to you, Pastor. You are doing a marvelous work. If your church is 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 people and you're having to work employment to keep the finances going in your church, in your home, Please know that I recognize that. Please know that God recognizes that, and one day there will be reward. One day there will be something that is beyond anything I can say, anything I can do. But today I wanted to recognize you for what you do and say to you, I appreciate your labor of love. And as you continue that labor of love, it will not return void. Every hour you spend ministering to your congregation after you've worked all day in the coal mines, all day in the construction fields, all day in the factory, all day at the grocery store, and you come in and Sister Smith or Sister Johns or whomever is in the hospital, and you change your clothes, get cleaned up, and you and your wife, you and your husband make a trip to the hospital, and you minister to God's inheritance. That's the calling that He's placed on your life. Always remember, that's your primary calling, not your secondary calling. But I today want to recognize the grace of God upon your life to do what it is you do. Blessings on you, my brothers and sisters.